This is IGN. Video games are synonymous with the name Nintendo, but which of the hundreds of incredible games that have graced the legendary Japanese company's numerous home and handheld consoles are the best? Well, here at IGN, we've teamed up with our friends at Nintendo Life to try and answer that question. What followed was the 10 best Nintendo games of all time. As for what qualifies to make our list, well, the vast majority you'll see here were either developed and or published by Nintendo itself. But there's also room for some others, those games that are synonymous with Nintendo consoles or at least a period of timed exclusivity on one of its many home devices. There's actually 90 more games on this list, and you can check out IGN's top 100 Nintendo games of all time right now at IGN.com. We've conveniently narrowed the list down to the top 10, so let's get started. Here is IGN's top 10 Nintendo games of all time. Let's begin with number 10. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. When Mario Kart 8 launched on the floundering Wii U in 2014, no one would have guessed that it would go on to become the 5th best-selling video game of all time, thanks to its deluxe re-release on Nintendo Switch. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is far more than a drag-and-drop port, however, as the additions it stacks on top of an already amazing gameplay foundation result in the best kart racer ever made, and one of the finest Nintendo games of all time. There are a whopping 96 tracks to choose from, including some of the best the series has ever seen, like the 3-part descent down Mount Wario that feels ripped straight out of an action movie. It's got a huge roster of characters along with guest appearances from other Nintendo franchises, such as Zelda, Splatoon, and Animal Crossing, not to mention the stunning renditions of Mute City and Big Blue that make us long for a new F-Zero in HD. Speaking of graphics, Mario Kart 8 remains one of the best-looking Nintendo games ever, with great art direction and minute attention to detail that makes every moment shine, like Mario's mustache fluttering in the wind or the iconic Luigi death stare. On to number 9. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. A Link to the Past seemed like an anachronism when it debuted in Japan in 1991, and players playing it for the first time today may be surprised how sophisticated and modern it still feels more than 30 years later. Its all-star EAD design team created a compelling quest that effectively creates the illusion of an open world, with each new item Link discovers acting as both a weapon and a key, a path to becoming stronger, solving puzzles, and unlocking new areas. But the moment players discover the magic mirror, the brilliant design fully reveals itself. The world map exists twice, and the small differences matter greatly. An instant hit back then and an undisputed classic today, A Link to the Past created the template for gaming history's best action adventures. In at number 8, Super Metroid. Following an explosive introduction to Ridley, Super Metroid first takes you on a reunion tour of the original Metroid's greatest hits, where you see what's changed on the planet Zebes. But once Samus Aran descends to Brinstar and the perfect atmospheric music kicks in, you know you're about to experience an all-timer. And Super Metroid never lets up for a single second, taking players on a practically flawless journey whose groundbreaking non-linear design continues to inspire Metroidvania developers more than 30 years later. I mean, it's even in the name. Its mood is magnificently eerie, its sprites and colors still astonish to this day. Its unexpected secrets are supremely satisfying to uncover. It's a masterpiece in every sense of the word. While the credits rolled after the empowering, emotional finale against Mother Brain and the adrenaline-fueled escape from Zebes, our collective understanding of the action-adventure genre looked a lot like Meridia's glass tunnel, completely shattered. We've made it to our number 7, and it's Chrono Trigger. 30 years after its debut on the SNES, Chrono Trigger still remains not just one of the best Nintendo games of all time, but one of the best games ever made, period. It's immediately charming in its detailed sprite work and lovely, varied environments, and its soundtrack is arguably one of, if not the finest work of Yasunori Mitsuda, with sweeping orchestral moments, earworm dungeon themes, and tender emotional peaks. The story itself is familiar at first, with a typical young boy hero caught up in a magic adventure beyond his understanding. But the plot quickly twists and turns, jumping between several time periods, introducing surprising cast members like a frogman, a robot, and one of the villains, and skillfully conducts one of the most surprising twists in gaming that the player can choose to resolve. Or not, depending on how they want to play Chrono Trigger. Our countdown of the 10 best Nintendo games of all time continues with number 6, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time reinvented the combination of action, puzzle solving, and exploration gameplay already perfected in A Link to the Past for a new generation. While its predecessor's 2D style has aged just a tad better than Ocarina of Time's polygonal world, it remains one of gaming's most notable achievements. Ocarina of Time takes the series' trademark puzzle dungeons and gives them new depth, literally, by transforming them into 3D playgrounds. Rather than just replicating Mario 64's innovations, it de-emphasizes platform jumping and instead invents a lock-on combat system that has been featured in nearly every action game since. Add to that horseback riding, a rich atmosphere underscored by unforgettable music and sound, and genre-defining puzzle design, and it's easy to see why many Nintendo fans consider it the crowning action-adventure achievement. In at number 5, a classic. Tetris. Ever close your eyes when you're trying to sleep and all you see are the same 7 shapes seemingly imprinted on the underside of your eyelids? You aren't alone. Scientists say that every person in possession of a Game Boy in 1989 suffered from this very condition. What's there to say about Tetris that hasn't been said already? A simple yet masterful puzzle game centered around slotting a series of falling shapes into groups of lines, while battling the ever-increasing speed of the tetrominoes and your finger reflexes. Although first created by Alexei Pajitnov 4 years prior, it was its arrival on the Game Boy that truly made it reach a global audience and become a sensation rarely seen, if ever equaled. And despite being 4 decades old, there's still nothing quite like it. That simplicity and ability for anyone to just pick up and play, helped by numerous versions and reinventions over the years, have made Tetris stand the test of time and remain, to this day, among the purest fun you can have with a video game. In at number 4, Super Mario Odyssey. Deciding on the greatest 3D Mario game will always be a matter of personal taste. Some hold the nostalgic invention of Mario 64 close to their hearts, while others yearn for the out-of-this-world creativity delivered in spades by the Galaxy games. Our pick is Super Mario Odyssey, the Switch's only original 3D Mario, but one so complete it warrants a generation of its own to savor. Granting everyone's favorite parkour plumber a new hat companion, Cappy, that expands his pool of abilities massively, he's an absolute delight to control as he dashes, double jumps, and hops into the brains of all manner of outlandish creatures, from T-Rexes to chain chomps. 3 more Nintendo games left, and in at number 3, it's SNES's Super Mario World. It's incredible to think that Super Mario World launched alongside the SNES, because it remains not just one of the platform's shining lights, but one of the best video games of all time. Following the sublime Super Mario Bros. 3 was never going to be an easy task, and the fact that the sequel would be on an entirely new system could only have made things even more challenging for director Takashi Tezuka and producer Shigeru Miyamoto. However, the team at Nintendo EAD produced a 2D platformer that's positively bursting with life and gleeful invention. This is a game that confidently builds on what came before it, yet manages to break fresh ground and set a new standard in the genre. We've made it to number 2. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. For some of us, that first bite will always be the sweetest. Breath of the Wild came after nearly 2 decades of Eiji Aonuma and company following Ocarina's familiar recipe. A new Zelda was still a treat, but it was essentially the same dish with different seasoning. A novel time loop narrative, gorgeous cel-shaded stylings, some sword waggle, and tiredness had crept in with the timeline. Could the wonder be restored? Could the series evolve without losing the elements that made it Zelda? Yes. And finally, it's our number one Nintendo game of all time, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Breath of the Wild may be the more important game, but we firmly believe The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom is the better one, and that Link's epic adventure across the skies, lands, and depths of Hyrule is the greatest Nintendo game of all time. This wildly ambitious sequel introduced an unbelievable amount of inventive, well-executed ideas that built upon Breath of the Wild's groundbreaking formula, while also improving upon some of its predecessor's shortcomings, once again raising the bar for Nintendo's legendary franchise. That's your IGN Daily Update. My name is Tony Jackson, and if you want more news on your favorite games and entertainment topics, make sure to visit us at IGN.com. You can also download our free app on your phone or console and subscribe to our weekly podcasts through the podcast service of your choice.
Spoken Layer.